Daniel Jeremiah had a 30-minute press conference the other day previewing the NFL draft, and we are here to break it down, giving you all the details as it pertains to Panthers fans. Let's go.
Brace yourself for the ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls, One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome into another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. Hope you folks are doing well. It is Easter as I record this. It's also my sister-in-law's birthday, so happy birthday. I know she does not listen to this show, but she lives in Charlotte, so at least there's part of it. And she's had a very rough week. So prayers and happy birthday wishes to my sister-in-law. Seriously mean it. Hope things are going well. No, you're not going to see this. Doesn't matter. I'm at least putting it out into the universe, that positivity, that affirmation, those good things, sayings we've been praying for you. Yes. Anyways, let's jump into the fun. So today's episode is going to focus on the bits of information that we heard as they pertain to the Panthers and maybe someone that the Panthers would pick. According to Daniel Jeremiah, we may spend a little bit of time talking about mock draft mania, which has been going on. I don't know if you guys are following it, if you like it, but we'll probably dive into that at the end because I just finished mock draft mock draft 5, which is actually 8.0, or I can't keep count. It doesn't matter. A 5-round mock draft. We have 2 more mocks to go. I've been picking new players each time, which makes it quite interesting. Anyways, enough rambling. You guys want to know the nitty gritty. This is published through NFL Communications. I was going through the notes and trying to understand what trends, what are we hearing? I mean, it was good. What you really want to focus on, though, is, of course, the pieces that pertain to the Panthers. And there was a really nice question at the end, very end of the segment, which I'll get into, as Daniel Jeremiah talked about Jaylen Walker and his potential fit in Carolina. Now, before we talk about Jaylen Walker and his fit here, I think we have to acknowledge, one, it does feel like he is the pick. Even though I've mocked 50 other players, he seems to be the pick, the consensus. We've talked about it. If he's available, and that's probably the biggest question that we're going to have right now. He acknowledged Walker in the context of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't think the Raiders are going to be the only team. We've heard the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a good chance that some team in front of the Panthers picks up Jaylen Walker because he's that good. It's funny because when I think about Jaylen Walker, I kind of look at it as like, yeah, I see the upside. I don't know that the Panthers can use him the way that he needs to be used. That's what worries me the most about the Carolina Panthers potentially selecting him. But then it's funny, and you think about him somewhere else, and you're like, wait a second. I don't want them to get him. I don't want that team to pick him up. I don't want them to be able to scoop him. So you got to look at it both ways. And so I honestly don't know how I would feel if he does get picked up earlier. Like, maybe he is a good player, but maybe the other teams are better equipped. But when speaking of Jaylen Walker and his reference to the Las Vegas Raiders, potentially at number 6, he said he is a fastball, a versatile chess piece who can be moved all around the defense. Now, we know that. That's not anything new that we have not heard about. Like, we get it. And this is who he is. The main question we have here in Carolina is, how effective can Ejiro Evero be moving him around? We've heard about J.C. Horn this past season not being able to follow the number 1 receiver, having to stay on his side of the field, the miscommunications in the secondary. We saw Frankie Louvu leave. Like, I'm not here to talk through all the things that we know, because I talk about them all the time. But as fans, that is something we have in the back of our mind, what happens if you draft a player that you can't utilize? Are you better suited drafting someone that just, can play football in any scheme? You don't have to craft a certain game plan or worry about his size or this, that, and the other. And I've been talking about size a little bit with Jaylen Walker because he is undersized for a true edge. Of course, we think about Bryce Young and his success that he's been able to do. So that was now we're going to get into the final Jaylen Walker breakdown as we get to the end. But I also wanted to talk about the wide receiver class. And, it's up in the air right now. That's probably one of the bigger topics is who's number one. Is it Tet McMillan? Is it Burden? Is it Golden? Where do the Carolina Panthers fit? Can they get someone? I think we all know that there is value in the second round. So it seems like as much as we want, and I mean, we could be surprised come Thursday. The Panthers would be picking wide receivers in the first round back-to-back years, though. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can't do it. But I could see this idea that, yes, they probably are going to go with defense. Now, one of the things that I really found interesting was the idea of how do you view a draft as being successful? And of course, he emphasized day 2 is an important piece. Day 2 is rounds 2 and 3. And he stated that teams that can find starters and impact players without the high cost of a first round pick are usually that's where you get your meat. And a good draft to him is a draft in which you can yield 3 starters and a couple of other contributors. So maybe you get 3 to 4 starters. That's the goal here. And I think the goal, we've said, gets a little bit harder for the Panthers when you are at pick 8 and pick 57. Now, it's doable, but the odds themselves would be in their favor if they're pick 17 and pick 42 and pick 57. Giving you a chance. Like we know, and I've talked through this through the mock draft series, that when you draft, there's always a good chance that these guys don't pan out. We've seen plenty of guys not pan out in the second and third round. But in general, talent-wise, skill-wise, unless the Panthers are just making an off selection, no offense to some players that they've selected, we're not going to drop names. But if they're trying to pick off of upside or this, that, and the other, in general, if you stick to what you know, at least what we know, I think we should know, you're going to get a valuable player in those first 3 rounds. So I love that idea. Tight end class at the top is Warren and Loveland. Hands down. Second tier includes Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, and Harold Fannin. I love Harold Fannin just because he was very productive. I'm going to get into the final piece of this here on as he closed out. I mean, this was the very last question that came up at the end of the conference call where it was a discussion about the Carolina Panthers and Jaylen Walker and the association of course, Jaylen Walker being mocked to Carolina. So I want to read the question and I'll go through his response just so you guys know exactly what was said. And I did post it on social media on X. So the very last thing it said, real fast, this was the question. Seeing Jaylen Walker and a lot of connections with the Carolina Panthers at 8. Why is he a good fit in Carolina? And if he's not the pick, who are some of the other options? He said, first of all, their team, this was Daniel Jeremiah speaking of the Panthers, their team that a lot of people around the league is going to try and get out of the top, 8. We know that. Decent number of needs to fill in the roster. Could they potentially parlay the need for New Orleans to get a quarterback and have someone move up? That's always a possibility. They don't know if we can pull it off, but it's something to keep an eye on. This is what he said. For Walker, when you go into a defense that's dead last in points, yards, rushing yards per game, tied for 29th in sacks, 32nd in pressures. He can help in all those areas. He's an impactful player. You can move him around. Again, it's going to just depend on the Panthers' ability to utilize him. And he would add a really explosive element to their defense. He said, I would love to see how he could play off of Derek Brown and being able to let him shoot some gaps that are going to be vacated with all the attention on Brown. But that's more or less thinking about him as an inside linebacker. When the Panthers have said, now I know you can stunt, move him around, so that is a possibility too. But we also know that they've said that he is going to play outside. At least that's where they have him today. From a leadership standpoint, he's a culture builder. He checks the boxes as well. That's why I love his fit there. If he's off the board or they decided to go in a different direction, I think you're just trying to find an impactful guy on the defensive side of the ball. And that's why I'm looking at edge rushers and defensive tackles. You could look at corners. And in this class, he's a big Jahade Barron guy. Said he loves him. So get faster on defense, get more dynamic. The Panthers need help everywhere. And that's where he would start. So that is your analysis by Daniel Jeremiah, where he thinks the Panthers should fit and focus. And for you guys, as we close out this episode, if you have not had a chance to tune into Mock Draft Mania, I want to get you guys up to speed. So, one, go out, watch the videos. At least I hope you do. If you're too busy, you can't do it, I understand. We are doing one mock draft per day leading up to the NFL draft. We have the first mock that was out. Each mock, we add an additional round. So to make it fun, also to this point, I've picked a different player every single time. Trying to give you variety. Still, I'm running out of options, but there's still some slim options available. I just finished the 5th round mock. It was ugly. Let's be real, because I'm getting slim pickings, but mock 6 and 7 coming out later this week. Anyways, you can see here, Tet McMillan was the first day, Jahad Campbell. Second day with Jaden Higgins and Princely Umanmielen out of, Ole Miss. Jaylen Walker was day 3. Luther Burden, Carson Sweshinger, and TJ Sanders. Donovan Ezeruka out of BC. Jalen Noel, Alfred Collins, Ozzie Trapilo, Ola Wafame, Oladejo, Billy Bowman Jr., and Demetrius Knight for day 4. And again, I just finished day 5, which this video that you're watching now will be out before day 5 is available. So you're getting a preview of this chart. Anyways, folks, pass myself off the screen. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have